Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads, it's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
In these thick with tension, shadows from the surrounding trees cast eerie patterns on the ground, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. The moon, half hidden behind a veil of clouds, provided just enough light to outline the figures in the clearing. Ivy Mullins stood at the center, her posture relaxed, but her eyes gleaming with mischief. Her voice broke the silence, echoing with a provocative tone, her words laced with an unsettling confidence.
Lucas Young, don't you want to see my body? I'll let you have some fun for free, okay? Even if you don't want to see it, I guess many people in Kintyre County would like to see it, right?
Lucas Young, his face a mask of stern disapproval, turned sharply to the disciples behind him. His jaw was clenched, and his eyes flashed with a mix of anger and disdain. His voice cut through the air, sharp and commanding, leaving no room for defiance.
You are all useless. You've all fallen into the trap of her seduction skill, and you don't even know it. Stop looking at her. Behave yourselves.
A powerful aura radiated from Lucas Young, enveloping everyone and snapping them out of their trance. It was as if an invisible force had swept through the group, shaking them to their senses. Ivy Mullins' pout deepened into a scowl, her playful demeanor shifting to one of irritation.
This isn't fun at all. You're no fun.
Lucas Young's patience wore thin as he addressed the group, his eyes narrowing in irritation. The muscles in his neck tensed, and his voice, usually steady and controlled, carried an edge of frustration.
Ivy, didn't you say that the remaining key was on David Hale? Why isn't he here yet? Why are we wasting time waiting on him? We people of the Great Desolate Region don't have time to spare.
Grant Lang, ever observant, held an iron piece in his hand. His expression was calm and composed, a stark contrast to the growing tension in the clearing. He spoke with a calculated calm, his eyes flickering with a hint of anticipation.
It should be soon. He's probably nearby. He's coming.
All eyes turned skyward as a black figure approached, growing larger with each passing moment. The sound of wings slicing through the air grew louder, heightening the sense of suspense. The figure descended with a swift, controlled grace, landing softly on the ground. But instead of David Hale, it was Zane Martell who stood before them, his presence immediately stirring suspicion and unease among the group.
Who are you? Why are you here? Where's David Hale? Why do you have David Hale's token?
Zane Martell's arrival was accompanied by a powerful aura, marking him as a significant threat. His eyes were cold and calculating, taking in the group with a penetrating gaze. Grant Lang's voice, usually calm, now held an edge of cold challenge.
You killed the people of the Giant Devil sect, and you killed more than one or two of them. How did you steal the key from David Hale? How dare you come here alone?
Lucas Young's surprise was evident, his eyes narrowing as he assessed Zane Martell. His mind raced with questions and doubts. Could this seemingly unassuming figure have bested David Hale? The thought was both unsettling and intriguing. It left Lucas Young with a growing sense of unease. He was thinking that Zane Martell looks like he's only at the second level of the expert level. How could he possibly defeat David Hale? David was known for his formidable strength and cunning strategies. There had to be more to this stranger than met the eye. The way Zane carried himself, with such calm and assurance, suggested a hidden depth of power. Could he be masking his true abilities? Zane Martell's gaze swept over the group, his eyes cold and calculating, taking in every detail. He stood tall and unwavering, exuding a quiet confidence that was almost unsettling. His clothes, though simple, were marked with signs of recent battle, and his hands, though steady, bore the calluses of a seasoned warrior. The silence stretched, thick with tension, until Zane finally spoke, his voice steady and firm.
Is this the Ghost King Devil Cave?
Ignoring their questions, Zane focused on the imposing stone statue that marked the entrance to the cave. The statue, an ancient and foreboding figure, seemed to pulse with a dark energy, its eyes gleaming in the dim light. Grant Lang's anger flared, his patience worn thin by the newcomer's calm demeanor. His voice rose, sharp and impatient, cutting through the tense silence.
You brat. I'm asking you, did you steal this key from David Hale?
Without warning, Grant Lang attacked, his fury palpable. His fist, wrapped in a dark energy, shot forward with deadly intent. But Zane Martel moved with blinding speed, blocking the strike with ease. The impact of their clash sent a shockwave through the air, causing the ground beneath them to tremble. Everyone watched in stunned silence, their eyes wide with shock. Grant Lang, taken aback by Zane's effortless defense, prepared for a more powerful assault. Devil energy swirled around his fist, a dark and menacing force that promised destruction. He launched another attack, his movements a blur of speed and power. But Zane Martel met him blow for blow, his own energy flaring to life. The ground beneath them cracked and splintered under the force of their battle, the air filled with the sound of their strikes. The disciples watched in awe and fear as the battle intensified, neither combatant yielding. The sheer power on display was both terrifying and mesmerizing. Lucas Young, seeing the potential in Zane Martel, stepped forward to intervene, his voice breaking through the chaotic sounds of battle.
Brother, what's your name?
Zane Martel.
All right, Zane, since you have the ability and the key to open the Ghost King Devil Cave, why don't you enter with us? What do you say?
Grant Lang's rage only grew at Lucas Young's proposal, his voice dripping with venom. His eyes burned with hatred, his body trembling with barely contained fury. He could not fathom allowing the person who had killed members of his sect to join them, let alone enter the sacred cave.
Let him join us? Impossible. I will never let the person who killed the 10-sided devil enter the Ghost King Devil Cave. He must die.
Tension hung thick in the air as the fate of Zane Martel hung in the balance. The disciples shifted nervously, their eyes darting between the combatants. The outcome was uncertain, but one thing was clear. This confrontation was far from over. The night air buzzed with unspoken threats and the promise of violence, leaving everyone on edge, waiting for the next move. The tension in the air was palpable. The members of the Giant Devil sect and Grant Lang were far from accepting this unexpected turn of events. Let Zane Martel join them in the cave? Absolutely not. To them, it seemed simple. Kill Zane Martel, take the key, and solve the problem. But Zane, he was unfazed.
What a coincidence. How do you know I don't plan to kill you and take this Ghost King Devil Cave for myself?
Lucas Young's eyes widened in surprise. The sheer audacity of Zane Martel's words was staggering. Here he was, facing some of the most formidable warriors from the Giant Devil sect, and yet his confidence remained unshaken. Could he be a genius from a super region, fearless and unrestrained? Lucas's mind raced with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last.
Zane, there's something you don't understand. The Ghost King Devil Cave is far more dangerous than you can imagine. You can't go in alone and expect to survive. That's why we agreed to form an alliance.
Grant Lang's face twisted in anger, his fists clenching at his sides. The air around him seemed to shimmer with his barely contained rage. His thoughts were a whirlwind of fury and frustration. How dare Zane challenge his authority in front of his followers?
Why bother explaining? Let's kill him and take the key now. Ivy Mullen, Lucas Young, help me.
As Grant Lang prepared to attack, the ground beneath them began to tremble violently. The earth shook with a menacing intensity, sending loose rocks and debris tumbling down the mountainside. Above, the sky seemed to split open as thick clouds parted, and a beam of golden sunlight pierced through, dispelling the chill in the air and casting an ethereal glow over the scene.
Time's up. We have to go in now. The negative key inside the cave is at its lowest. Grant, decide. Fight and miss our chance, or go in now and settle this later.
Grant Lang's expression changed, his teeth clenched. A storm of emotions played across his face, anger, frustration, and reluctant acceptance. The stakes were too high to let personal grudges take precedence. Finally, he stamped his foot in frustration, the sound echoing through the tense silence.
Fine, but once inside, you're mine, Zane.
Zane Martel's lips curled into a small, mocking smile. His eyes glinted with a cold, steely resolve that sent a chill down the spines of those who witnessed it. He showed no fear, no hesitation.
Words are cheap. Prove it.
The four of them flew to the stone statue's limbs, each placing their iron key into a groove with precise, synchronized movements. The keys clicked into place, and a powerful surge of energy rippled through the air. Light shot skyward, merging in a dazzling display, before landing on the stone gate of the Devil Ape's mouth. The ancient mechanisms groaned and creaked, and with a final thunderous boom, the gate opened to reveal a long, dark passage. The air was thick with the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves, an eerie soundtrack to the impending journey. The darkness beyond the gate seemed to pulse with malevolent intent, promising untold dangers and challenges. This was no ordinary cave. It was a realm of darkness and peril, where only the strongest would survive.
The passage is open. Giant Devil Sect, follow me.
With a flash of light in his eyes, Grant Lang surged forward, his silhouette cutting a determined figure against the eerie glow of the passage entrance. His movements were swift and precise, a testament to his prowess and authority. Ivy Mullen was quick to follow, her lithe form moving with grace and speed, her eyes fixed on Grant's back. The other disciples of the Giant Devil Sect fell in line behind them, a disciplined and formidable force. Lucas Young and his group from the Great Desolate region were not far behind. Lucas's eyes flickered with a mix of determination and caution as he led his team into the darkness. Their collective energy radiated a sense of purpose, each member acutely aware of the peril that lay ahead. Zane Martel, ever vigilant and confident, brought up the rear. His senses were heightened, every muscle in his body coiled and ready for whatever challenges awaited them. As they flew through the dim passage, the light gradually dimmed, casting long shadows that danced and flickered ominously along the walls. The air grew cooler, and the faint sound of dripping water echoed through the narrow corridor. But for those in the expert level, such conditions posed no hindrance. Their enhanced abilities allowed them to navigate the dark with ease, their vision cutting through the gloom. For Zane Martel, the darkness was almost welcoming. His enhanced vision allowed him to see clearly, picking out details that others might miss. The rough-hewn walls of the passageway, the faint etchings that hinted at ancient secrets, the subtle shifts in air pressure that suggested hidden chambers, all were clear to him. They traveled for what seemed like an eternity, the oppressive silence broken by the sound of their own footsteps and the occasional distant rumble. Suddenly, a bright light appeared at the end of the tunnel, a beacon that promised an end to the claustrophobic passage. As they emerged, the scene before them was breathtaking. Hovering above a lush, vibrant medicinal field, they found themselves surrounded by a riot of colors and life. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the hum of unseen insects. The field stretched out for kilometers, a sea of green dotted with vibrant patches of exotic plants.
A third-grade intoxicating heart fruit, a fourth-grade green-eyed bullroot flower, and a fifth-grade dragon saliva spiritual fruit. This is incredible.
Zane's eyes sparkled with excitement as he took in the abundance of rare and valuable herbs. Each plant represented immense power and potential, their presence here a testament to the cave's mysterious and fertile nature. His mind raced with possibilities, each discovery more thrilling than the last.
These fields belong to the Giant Devil Sect. Don't touch them.
Grant Lang's voice cut through the air like a whip, his authoritative tone leaving no room for argument. His gaze swept over the field, taking stock of the valuable resources now within their grasp. The disciples of the Giant Devil Sect moved with purpose, their movements a blur as they began to gather the herbs.
First come, first served. Great Desolate Region, gather everything now.
The disciples of the Great Desolate Region sprang into action, their white robes billowing as they descended upon the field. Hands moved quickly, plucking plants with practiced precision. The field became a scene of controlled chaos, with both factions working feverishly to secure their share of the bounty. But amidst the frenetic activity, Zane Martel held back, his keen eyes scanning the field with a critical eye. He moved methodically, his every step calculated. Ivy Mullen, ever observant, noticed his deliberate movements and decided to follow him. Her curiosity was piqued by his apparent caution. In the center of the field stood a strange tree, towering over the other plants at more than 100 meters tall. Its gnarled branches were devoid of leaves, but it bore 5 fist-sized fruits that emitted a faint sizzling sound. Zane's senses tingled with recognition. These were high-level lightning-type spiritual objects, incredibly rare and powerful.
Of course, the center holds the most valuable treasures.
He reached out to pick the fruit, feeling a tingling numbness spread through his hand as he made contact. The power contained within the fruit was palpable, its energy resonating with his own.
Hey, handsome, how about giving me that spiritual fruit? I'll make it worth your while tonight.
Ivy Mullen's voice dripped with seduction, but the stakes were high. As Zane Martell turned, his gaze locked onto hers with a mixture of amusement and resolve. The air was thick with anticipation, the weight of their choices pressing down on them. What would he do next? And what dangers still lurked in the shadows of the Ghost King Devil Cave? The unknown loomed large, promising both peril and possibility.